Hi, I'm Shristi. In this video, I'm going to kick off hopefully what becomes a series of tips and tricks on things that you can do with Angular Material and using the Angular Material design concepts in your app. I'm going to start this up a little bit differently to what I've done before because I'm actually going to start with a starter app and change bits and pieces of it up. Now, if you want to get access to the app that I'm going to take you through, you can actually find all the source code at Bossable.com. So if you go across to find Mean.js Angular Material Starter app is the name of the post, or you can just go to bossable.com/1263 and you go straight to this post here. So this post goes through the Material Starter app that was discussed at ngconf earlier this month. And there's a video link here as well to a YouTube video where the app was discussed. So what I've done is taken that app, which was an Angular Material Design app, and kind of interpreted it in a certain way for the Mean stack, just to make it really nice and simple for you to use. So the app has navigation bars, it has content areas, and it's got a bottom sheet as well. So it goes through those things. To kick off, there's a couple things that you need to do. Firstly, you need to set up Mean.js 040. So you need to grab that, and the video at this link here will take you through how to install 040. It is still in development, but it very soon should be moved into master. So that's the plan anyway. We've got some steps on creating a MongoDB, and of course the process that you need to go through to actually add Angular material to your app. So there's some information about that too. And then once you've got that, you're pretty much ready to go. So what I'm going to do in this video is really just look at the very first part of this. So there's like a few steps involved. There's sort of code that takes you through all of that, and there's some references back to the GitHub area for the original code as well. But basically there's sort of 10 steps, and we're just going to start with step 1. I'm not going to talk you through every single step in the following videos. I just want to identify tips and tricks and things that you need to be aware of when you're using Angular Material Design, because it is a bit different to Bootstrap and other frameworks that you may have used before. Alright, so let's have a look at this app. So I'm just going to open it up over here. So here is the app that I'm talking about, bar on the side. So as you click through, you can see that the selected record here will change. And what you can also do is make this a little bit smaller. And as we bring it smaller, you'll notice that there's, we obviously open the sidebar, but we also display a little hamburger menu up the top here, so that when you click that, you can then open up that sidebar too. And then the other thing that we have here is a bottom sheet. So when you click on that little share icon, which is neatly hovering at the end there, you'll get this bottom sheet appearing. Click anywhere and it goes. And you can notice that when I clicked on that, it actually applies a little bit of a filter over the page, so it sort of makes it a little bit looks a bit darker. So you can sort of just keep an eye on the color there. You can see that it sort of grays out a little bit as that bottom sheet comes through. Cool. So the first thing that I'm going to take you through today is the toolbar that I've got at the top here. So let's go through a few different examples of how we actually create a toolbar and how we actually set one up. So let's do that. So I'm going to just jump across to WebStorm, open up this project. So here's a project here. You can see that it's running using Grunt down the bottom here. So there's a few files that I'm going to need. I'm going to jump across to modules, go to core, go to client, and I'll jump down to views and go to the header client view. So the header client view is where when you grab a version of the Mean.js stack and you install that, you'll get all this code here that's actually currently commented out. So that's all going to appear in the header. That's got menus and it's got access to your profiles and your settings and all those kind of things. I've just gone through and commented all of that out and just replaced it with the current header that's there at the moment. Now this is referenced from the server file. So for the core, if I go down to core server views and just across to layout, what I've also done is just commented out the code that's sitting here. So there's some bootstrap classes like content and container, don't need any of those. I've just got the header, which is literally just bringing in the header client view, and the block content. Now for this block content, so I do talk about this a little bit in some of the other videos, but I'll talk about it again. This block client area here, one important thing that you will need to change is this refers to the index server view, this one here, and the one of the most important things that you need to do here to make sure that the flex process will actually apply to your app is that everywhere you use section and div tags, you will have to kind of think about if you want that to flex and use the flex box processes or things that come with that. You need to have a flex attribute, and you also need to have a layout attribute as well. So without those things, the view, this view here, would not actually extend all the way. So I can actually show you that really quickly, just to show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to pull out the flex and the layout column here and just save that, and let's just have a quick look at what that does. So you can see that when the list of records ended at the bottom here, so did this sidebar. So it's not extending any further than that. So that's one of those things that's limited. So you can actually check that if you just inspect element and jump through the elements that you've got. As you hover over the elements, you actually be able to see how far or where they are limited. So you can see this one here. We've got a div flex layout column, so that's the very top. So we've got layout fill, which means it's that very top div that's sitting in this app. We've got the header, which is the header client view, which I mentioned just before. And then we've got this guy here, which is that section that we were just looking at. So if I just make that a little bit smaller, just see if you can see that. Oh, maybe what I'll do is I'll just make it vertical so that I can scroll through it. So if I look at that section there, you can see that the highlighted area ends just below here at that level there. So again, I'll highlight over it, you'll see that it will end just about there. So you can test that out in the element itself. Just after the view, I'm just going to add in the flex layout column, and you'll see that straight away that highlighted area now extends from that area where it ended, and it goes all the way to the bottom. So it's if you're having issues with your layout when you're using Material Design, you may need to just go and have a look through the highlighted areas of your elements and make sure that your parent elements cover all of the space that you actually need to be able to use. All right, so I did say I was going to have a look at some different ways of doing some toolbars. So let's do that. I'll try and keep that quick. So let me jump to WebStorm. I'll just undo that change. So that's all good. Jump to the header. And I'm going to create a few different headers for us. So I'm just going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to probably just comment that out for now. And I'll just create, maybe just below this code, I'll create some headers for us. So the very simple header is just the MD toolbar just by itself, and then within that we're just going to add a H2 tag. So that's a header tag. with class equals md toolbar dash tools, and just close that tag, and then just the heading that you want to use. So let's say if this was the simple toolbar. Cool, so save that. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just make that smaller so we can just see behind us. Cool, so that's a simple toolbar. All we really have there is a toolbar that is aligned to the left. Okay, so let's do something a little bit more interesting here. How about if we needed to introduce two elements into the toolbar? What do we do then? All right, so I'll bring my code back. So this time what I'm going to do is put in a row, because I want the elements to be side by side. I need to use layout equals row. So this is different to Bootstrap. You're not using a row to create a column here. You're actually using a row to tell the Flex layout system that you want to put things side by side. So side by side is a row, one on top of the other is a column. And then we're going to do, let's do layout, align, and just space around center. So what I want is the elements to have some space around either side. So they're not going to be all the way at the end. Now within this, we're going to put two things. So I'm just going to have the heading. So I'll take out that class. And then below it, I'm just going to put in a button. So MD button. For your buttons, do put in some ARIA labels, just for screen reading and that kind of thing. That's a good standard to follow. And just call that the button. Save that. Cool. So there we've got the toolbar header now over in the middle kind of area, and we've got the button over there. I'm just going to close that so you can see how that looks. So we've got the button over here. It's a bit hard to see with the background, and we've got the simple toolbar over here. Okay, so what about if I had two buttons? What would that do then? So let's copy the button, paste that underneath, and I'll say that's the button 1, and I'll call that button 2. So this one is a bit interesting because I put space around center. What it does is the center basically puts it in the middle, so it's like centered in terms of vertically, but the space around puts a little bit of space over here, a bit of space over here, and a bit more space over here. So if you've got three elements, what you'd expect to see is one that moves further that way, one that's in the middle, and one that moves further over here. So it's going to align that up for us. So let's have a quick look at that. Cool, so just as I expected, I've got these three kind of areas that have been set up here. So I don't really want to do that, but what I do want to do is have these two buttons close to each other on this side of the page. So what I can do is just throw that into a span. Just paste them up over there. Cool, so now I've got the toolbar and I've got these two buttons, and they're aligned next to each other rather than one sort of being a bit further out in the middle. They're still kind of not all the way at the edge, and that's because I'm using space around center. So this is the look if you wanted to kind of think about if you were using a Bootstrap container, this is a similar kind of a look that you might get if you were using Bootstrap, because you're sort of off the edges a bit. You kind of offset in a little bit more. Okay, so let's have a look at another type. What else can we do? So another thing that we can do is actually extend that toolbar, and we can make it a little bit longer, right? So this time, instead of doing a layout row, I'm going to do a layout column, because I'm actually going to have a couple of things in a column, so one on top of the other. So at the very top, I'm actually going to put in a span with a flex. Actually, what I'll do is I'll leave it as span so I can show you what this flex bit does to it. So that's going to be essentially the top. Oops, don't spell. Do it twice. Top. And then this bit here is going to be the bottom. Okay, so at the bottom, what I'm going to do is actually throw all of this into a span, but I'm not going to have two buttons. In this case, I just want one. So I'll take that guy out and I'll put this one here like that. So let's have a quick look at that. Okay, cool. So that looks a little bit weird, but what I want to do is not have these items like one on top of the other, because what it's looking at, it's going, okay, you want a column, you want the header at the top, you want the button at the bottom. What I want is, firstly, I want to make this a tall header. So I want to add a class here. So class equals MD tall. So that's the first thing I want to do. Second thing I want to do is, well, let's just do that first. Cool. So that makes it just a little bit bigger. And then the next thing I want to do is, for this span, I want to give that a flex. And for this span, I want to give that a row. So I'm going to go layout, row, because I want these two elements, the header and the button, to be side by side, not on top of each other. And I'm going to give it a little bit of padding too. Cool. So that gives that a little bit of padding, puts it onto that bottom. But hang on a minute, that looks a bit weird. I don't really want these to be like right next to each other, especially when I've got this flex going on. So what I can do is I can just get rid of this layout align here. Save that. So I'm going to go for the H2, let's go with class MD toolbar tools. Let's do that first. And that's basically aligned the heading to the left, and it's thrown the button all the way over on the right. Okay, cool. What else can we do? Next thing we can do is actually look at putting some tabs. So what if I want to put in some tabs into this as well? So this is a little bit more complicated, but we'll work through it. So this time I want the layout to be a row, because I want to limit the amount of space that I'm actually going to give to my header. So I'm going to go row. I'm going to align it at the bottom. So what I want is I want this tall header, and then in the middle area here, I want some tabs to go into that. So I put in a layout of row. I'm going to put a layout align of center, which puts it down the bottom, or puts it in the middle, sorry, and an end, which puts it down the bottom. And I'll keep the class. Oops, I'm missing quotes there. So layout row, layout around, align center end, and MD tall. Within that, I'm going to throw in a div because I want to reduce the space. So this is similar to how you might do in Bootstrap. You've got a row, and then you want to maybe have a certain size for the column. Say col MD8, for example, would take up 8 out of the 12 alignments in a column. Here, it's quite different. We're actually talking in terms of flex. So for flex, just putting a general flex attribute there. And then I'm going to say when flex, when it's small, I want it to be 100. Oops. I want it to be 100, so 100%. For flex, when it's greater than small, I want it to be 95%. And flex greater than medium, I want it to be, say, 80% of the screen size. So it's a little bit different, and I want the next items that come after this to be in the format of a column. Okay, so within that, then I want to plug in a heading. So I'll grab the H2 because I want to put the heading above the tabs. I'm going to remove the class there. Just want to keep it really simple, so I'm just going to call that the heading. Oops. underneath that, I'm going to throw in a span. And underneath that, I'm going to put in my tabs. So I can get rid of all these things. Don't need those anymore. So I've got my span and then my tabs. So for tabs, we're just going MD tabs. And generally that will be what your tabs fit into. And each tab is going to have MD tab, just like that. So if I want 2 tabs, I can have 2 of these. But I need a few more attributes to actually make sure that this aligns in the way that I want it to. So for example, if I want to stretch the tabs all the way across, I'll show you how to do that in a second too. So for each of these 2 tabs that I've got here, I just want to give it a label for each of the tabs. So I'm going to throw them down and just go MD tab, tab label. For that tab label, I might just call that tab 1. And for the next one, oops. Next one, I'll call that tab 2. All right, let's have a quick look at that. All right, so I've got a heading here now. I've got tab 1 and tab 2. They're a little bit kind of hard to see like that. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of color. So I can change the color by just giving it a class, setting a class on the tab. So oops, up here, so MD tabs, I'm just going to change it to, let's say MD primary, MD hue2. Let's just see if that looks a little bit better. Cool. So now I can at least see the tabs. If I wanted these tabs to extend all the way across that length of that flex, and you'll notice that when I scroll, so I said that above medium I wanted it to be 80% of the way across, but when it's less than medium size, I actually want it to be 95%, and when it's a small size, I want it to be 100%. So you can see that happening right there. So that's pretty cool. What I do also want to do is let me grab this here. I do want to show you how to stretch the tabs if you wanted to do that too. So if I want to stretch the tabs, I just need the attribute MD stretch tabs, and you can just go always. Cool. So now the tabs take up the whole amount of space that's available to them. If I didn't really like the colors that were going on here, I can change them really quickly too. Again, if you follow the instructions in that Bossable post, you'll be able to see where that's all set up. So it's just in app init over here. So I've got a primary palette of purple at the moment. I just change that to blue, for example, and just refresh that. Okay, so if it was blue, it would look something like this. You can play around with the different hues, but basically a hue 1 I think equates to like, let's have a quick look. So if I jump to material design and just go to theming, if you're interested in that, just have a quick look through what's available. So if you want to know what shades there are, you can grab them here, or have a look at the Google Material Design elements, because they all align as well to what you can use here. It goes through the different types of syntax you can use, and it goes through the process of how you actually set one of these things up. So hue 1 is like 100, which is like a light color. So generally it's a light color with like a dark text. Hue 2 is 600 equivalent of the shade, and then hue 3 is A100, but it could be different and you can change them up to whatever you like to. All right, so I've probably gone on for long enough. I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully that helped. You know, obviously you can then go back and bring back the MD button that we have here if you if you want to introduce that back into the process as well. So yeah, hope that helped. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out bossable.com for more details. All of the examples that I've gone through today will be up on there shortly. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.